Good afternoon, teacher. Today, my classmates and I will expose the following case. The first case is William Sindall PLC versus Cambridgeshire Council. Uh, Facts. The first case. Facts. The claimant Sindall agreed to purchase land for development from the defendant's Cambridgeshire CC in reply to an inquiry by the claimants regarding easements over the land. The defendants state that they were not aware of any. A private sewer built 20 years before the transaction was for under the development seat after the sale had been completed. The claimants brought an action for a declaration that the contract was validly rescinded on the grounds of misrepresentation and common mistake. As regards the latter, it was held that the contract had allocated the risk of the unknown sewer to the buyer so that there was no possibility of rescission for common mistake. Rescission for common mistake has since been removed as a possibility by the Great Peace.
About the problem, much of the arguments of Mr. Sheet QC, who appeared from Sindal, involved variation of the theme that the discovery of the sewer was such a devastating blow to the proposed development that it would be most unjust to construe the contract as excluding a remedy or to exercise a discretion against rescission. Sindal devoted a great deal of energy, both before and at the trial, in trying to prove that the sewer was public within the meaning of the Public Health Act 1936 and the Water Act 1933. This would have meant that the sewer was known best in the previous England Water Service. It maintained this stance despite the fact that the city were unanimously of the opinion that the sewer was private entertainment um, for the benefit of Gregory's court. The sewer could therefore be diverted to Sweet Sindal uh, development if this was technically feasible and the city was willing to consent. The evidence showed that in principle the city was willing to accept any alternative method of draining Greystock Court provided that it worked and didn't not cost the city any money. The question had to be answered hypothetically because Sindal at the time resolved the refuse to discuss alternative schemes of any kind. The reason for its refusal is perfectly understandable. If a solution was possible, it might be able to recover the additional costs as damage, but would in the end be left with a site for which it paid over 5 million and was filling up interest charge at 2,000 a day, but which was worth less than 2,000 million. If no solution was possible, it stood a better chance of being able to resign the contract and get its money back. Sindal Sindal claimed that in particular the final documentation should have been found. This is because another of the pre-control questions, number 5, was does the property Judge Central have draining service? Do any of the service pass through of over the property not including the sale? The council answered this by saying that it understood main service to be able, but that it could not guarantee them, and prospective purchase should make their own inquiries. No investigation were made into the matter by the council. Mr. Scott explained that this lack of inquiry was because he believed the building was to be demolished and that the question was there irrelevant. Sindel claimed that reasonable investigation into this question would have revealed the existence of the sewer. Thirdly, Sindal claimed that two of the conditions of sale amount to misrepresentations. There were 28, the vendor sells as beneficial owner, and 29, the property is sold with vacant possession on completion. It was condition 28, which the judge at first stance accept as a misrepresentation. Sindal also claimed that if there was no found to be a misrepresentation concerning the council's pre-contract statements, then there was a misrepresentation in respect of the adequacy of the county's records.
Hoffman L.J. But in case this case goes further, I should say that in my judgment, the judge approached this question on a false basis, arising from his mistake about the seriousness of the fact. The discretion conferred by Section 2.2 is a broad one, to do what is equitable, but there are three matters to which the court must in particular have regard. The first is the nature of the misrepresentation. It is clear from the Law Reform Committee's report that the court was made to consider the importance of the representation in relation to the subject matter of the transaction. In my view, in the context of a £5 sale of land, misrepresentation which would have cost 18,000 pounds to put right and was unlikely seriously to have interfered with the development or resale of the property, was a matter of relatively minor importance. The second matter to which the court must have regard is the loss that would be caused by the misrepresentation if the contract were upheld. The section speaks in terms of loss suffered rather than damage recoverable, but clearly completes that if the contract is upheld, such loss will compensate by an award of damage. Section 2 therefore gives a power to award damage in circumstances in which no damage would previously have been recoverable. The third matter to be taken into account under Section 2.2 is the loss which would be caused to Cambridgeshire by recession. This is the loss of the bargain at the top of the market having to return about £8 in purchase price and interest in exchange for land worth less than £2.
Decision: the Court of Appeal here in favor the seller. It was held that the contract had allocated the risk of the unknown sewer to the buyer so that there was no possibility of rescission or common mistake. The Court of Appeal held that there was no misrepresentation. Properly construct the contract put the risk of unknown rights and liabilities on the purchaser. This left no possibility for the contract to be voidable for mistake. Additionally, the seller had not made any
misrepresentation that had truthfully disclosed it, make it clear that disclosure only included those rights and liabilities they were aware of. Thank you.
The second case is Salt versus Stratton Specialist Ltd. Facts: the claimant Salt was a sports car enthusiast. In September 2007, over the phone, he bought from the defendants a Cadillac CT3 3.6 sports car for 21,895 pounds. The defendant's employee had described the car to him as brand new. This was untrue. The car has been manufactured in 2005 and had been in a collision and had undergone some repair in 2005 and 2006. After delivery of the car to the claimant and his use of it, defects emerged, and after about a year, he had enough and asked the defendant for his money back in return for the car. When they refused, he commenced legal proceedings, having found out from the documents disclosed to him that the car was not new. He sought rescission and damages for misrepresentation, a truth he did not allege fraud.
Okay, about the problem is that if Section 2 entitled the code to award damages in line of rescission is available about if there is a right to rescission. It is a question on which there is a conflict of authority at first instance. Another problem was whether restitutio integrum was possible or not.
So now we will talk about some important. The restating of a contract terminals if a returns those involved to the contractual position, for example, by reimbursing the innocent party for the value of the goods. Section 2 of the Act allows the court to award error damages of rescission for negligent or innocent misrepresentation, but only where it will be possible to resign the contract. According where it is not possible, the court cannot choose to award damages in a rescission. This is the first court of appeal decision of the issue and is welcome developing following country decision in the lower courts.
¿Alguien firme? Okay, the decision. District Judge Hitman, but succeeded before Judge Charles Harris, QC, and the later decision was upheld by the Court of Appeal. Launchmore LG, restitution impossible. The first reason given by DJ Hickman for saying that restitution was impossible is that the car had been registered to Mr. Salt. After sale and the returning, a registered car would be to return something different from the article he bought. The second reason for saying that the parties could not be restored to their original position is that there had been some delay, but he didn't appear to have regarded that as critical since. He said that the relevant delay was up to the point when the claim for rescission was asserted rather than when it was pleaded. DJ Hinman's the reason is that the car is depreciating as asset and the delay, such as it was, constitute a prejudice to Stratton, but it will be comparatively easy to compensate Stratton for the prejudice. A further point that DJ Hinman might have made but did not make is that Mr. Sal had had the benefit of using the car. Thank you.